New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is Ministers Talking Shit for August 15th, 2025. After a long vacation and stint of traveling, Reverend Elzia is back with us again. And I wanted to say welcome home, but you're not home yet. You're in Florida and you know, I got to say, brother, number one, I'm really, really grateful. I know you were in Canada for about a week. And number one, I'm really, really grateful they let you back into the country. And I'm dying to ask, why didn't you just stay?
My brother, I truly wanted to stay. But unfortunately, in Banff, if you don't work in Banff, you can't purchase anything in Banff, and I would want to have my own little pot of land. It is so beautiful. It was so beautiful. Great retreat conference that we had there. Well attended, weather cooperated, and the spiritual vibes were just, I mean, you look out, you see the other end of the Rockies. We were in Colorado in the southern Rockies. We were in Canada in the northern Rockies, and magnificent. That's all I can say. I'm going back when I don't have anything to do but enjoy the city.
There we go. Okay. There might be a whole flurry of New Thought ministers looking for open pulpits in Canada. Not sure at this point.
Yes.
So, and as you so rightfully enjoy, I will say you've been missed, and and we're glad that you had a chance to get away, get rejuvenated, because even as you said in the pregame, in our pre-show here, it's you've been kind of away from the fray for a little bit, which I trust gives you a grander perspective, let's say, or a higher view on the whole thing. And what did you learn? What did you learn in Canada about what's going on in the U.S.?
Well, this one might surprise you. I went to the restaurant and I wanted some Brussels sprouts. You know, they got the Brussels sprouts now, all kind of those are African. No Brussels sprouts because they come in from the US. And so there were no Brussels sprouts. They were on the menu, but there were no Brussels sprouts to be had. They said because of the tariffs with the US that's somehow one of the things. And it just reminded me of how small things like Brussels sprouts are being affected, that most people probably, I didn't have any idea that was caught up in tariffs, right? So just think about all of the other things, the bigger things that are caught up in tariffs, that we don't have the opportunity to ask for it on the menu. So we don't know it's taking place, and we won't know until it's a big thing that goes plop on your desk. Yeah. And then what are you going to do?
I saw a story of someone that was running around a retail store putting little Post-its over the prices of certain items.
reflecting what those items would cost if we didn't have these tariffs in place.
Wow. Yeah.
And a big story that I saw yesterday or the day before, Lindt, the chocolate maker, has are going to know. So currently, the way Canada gets Lindt chocolates is they have to come to the U.S. first, and then a U.S. supplier they import to the U.S. and then a U.S. supplier exports to Canada. No more, because of tariffs. The chocolate's not making its way to Canada, so Lindt in Switzerland has decided that they're just going to open a facility in Canada and import directly to Canada and skip us altogether. So, and once global trade changes lanes, as it were, it ain't going to come back.
No.
There's work in I know in Central America on a new canal between Atlantic and Pacific, Mexico or Nicaragua or somewhere. Somebody's building a new canal, and they say it's to relieve pressure on the Panama Canal. But the truth is, you create a better rabbit, people aren't coming back to the old way of being, and we will never get that chocolate import back again, and we will never be able to export that chocolate to other places again, because we just got cut off by the guys that make the chocolate.
Yes. You think about not so long ago, but long ago, the biggest thing or one of the big things that was talked about during COVID was the supply chain. How things got caught up in the supply chain and were stuck here and stuck there. Yeah. So tons of companies and tons of people individually started fixing their supply chain or coming up with different ways to fulfill that supply chain.
Right.
And so now there are things that are coming in new places and new ways. I mean, think about building a plant for Lindor's chocolate in Canada. So now they can go directly, no middleman. So the price can be even better than it is if they got it from here. And, it could create an export opportunity for Canada now, because they can get a little margin and still beat the U.S. And it's like, it's one thing that we always say on this show. We have to be in tune with the infinite, as they say. We must think outside the box, number one, because there's more than our little box, but we must do that in a holistic way and understand how things work together. And this tariff is centered on me in terms of the United States. And that's going to get us in trouble sooner or later.
Yeah. This is going to sound really terrible, but I hope it's sooner.
Yeah.
I really do. You haven't been around for a few weeks, so we haven't spoken about this, but I can't scroll my social media without seeing one primary question. And it doesn't matter what people are talking about, from the left at least. It doesn't matter what policy or what thing Putin in Alaska should be arrested for ICC via arrest warrant. Yeah, we're not part of the ICC. We don't do that stuff. The military overrunning DC. No matter what it is, we got one central question, and that is, where's the Epstein list? And the man in charge is doing every possible thing in the world to avoid answering that one question. He's making shit up. He's pretending there's a crisis in Washington, D.C. He's creating blueprints for how to take over other sanctuary cities, and I have to imagine Denver's on that list. But everybody I see, no matter what comment they make, they put on a PS. Oh yeah, and by the way, where the is the Epstein list already. I mean, at some point, the American public is going to have to wake up to the fact, and I'm going to say it because if he wants to sue me, do it. But we're going to have to wake up to the fact that Melania Trump was human trafficked to Donald by Jeffrey Epstein. They met. Epstein introduced her to him. They met. She might have been of age, but their first sexual encounter was on Epstein's plane.
You know, the thing that that sticks out a lot in this environment, I think, is the class difference between the haves and the have-nots. Okay, because when we look at the Epstein files, or we look at the impact of tariffs, or if we look at the impact of the president doing a test run on martial law in the nation's capital, we begin to see that there are a class of people who have resources that are beyond the average person's wildest imagination. And they are playing to see what they can get away with, I believe.
Yeah.
And what people will tolerate. You know, you mentioned the summit in Alaska today with the president and Putin. You know, why is Vladimir from Ukraine not there?
Right.
And you know, Zelensky should be there. Now they're saying they're going to do something second. Well, by then I don't know what you said. I don't know what under the table agreements you've made. So now you're going to come try to push something down my throat that you guys are happy with that I might not be happy with, right? And so we begin to see how this manipulation, and as you said earlier, the distractions that are being placed before the public to keep you from looking at the real deal. They've gotten rid of the Bureau of Labor Statistics guy who does the jobs report, saying, you know, we might suspend it altogether. We're going to figure out another way to do it. I mean, that sounds like stacking the deck to me, right?
Exactly.
And you know, when you're at the casino, when they change hands or when they come up, they do this. Like, I ain't got nothing up my sleeve. I'm coming here straight, you know, but ain't nobody doing that with all the stuff going on in this administration. And we need some new dealers. I'm just telling you right now, because the dealers we got right now, they I don't know if they're dealing right.
I would have to say they're dealing off the bottom of the deck. They're not dealing with a full deck, and they're changing the odds mid-hand, or at least trying to, right?
Yeah.
And I saw a story this week that really got my craw because Pete Hegseth reposted or shared a post from a very right-wing conservative pastor who is pushing the agenda that women shouldn't be able to vote, that the man should vote, that the husband should vote, and using this term they call house voting or home voting, that the home decides who to vote for, and then the man goes out and casts the ballot. Like, now I just want to, if Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, I know Hegseth's defense, so he really has no reason to be commenting on this topic whatsoever. But if Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, had said, you know what, I don't think women need to vote, we would have had an uprising. If she had said, I don't think men need to vote, I think women should. I think all the women should decide, and and then vote for their husband. People would have been shouting from the rooftop, screaming and yelling, causing all kinds of holy revolution. And I thought about it this morning, Z, that not in my wildest nightmare did I think this could ever really happen. I really felt America had the guardrails in place, that our Constitution was strong enough, that our beliefs were strong enough, that our commitment to unity, our commitment to Americanism was strong enough that this wouldn't even have been. This was not in the book of nightmares when I was 15 or 20 or 25. But I'm staring at 60 and I'm looking at, all of a sudden I live in China. All of a sudden I live, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to control what I watch. You're going to control who I can connect with and who I can talk with. You're going to try to control women's bodies. You're going to try to control. And we're starting to see the effects in tourism at this point. Statistics are starting to come out that Canadians are not coming to the U.S. Europeans are going to Canada for vacation.
You know,
people are not.
One of the issues. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I mean, you hit such a chord that we've talked about it before. We'll talk about it. It'll be less and less pungent as we move through this administration. But, you know, dude hasn't been in office, but for what, 8 months now? 7 months now?
Yeah.
And as you were saying, we look at people are not coming anymore. People are making, because I'm telling you, when I was in Banff, they had it, the streets were filled. Now, I don't know. You know, they said this is the normal time, right? Because short window, weather was great, but it was filled with people from all countries.
Right.
You know, there were some more than others, but they were filled with tourists. Let me put it that way. And so you look at the whole idea of momentum. If my car starts rolling down the hill and I can catch it right away, no matter how much that car weighs, I can stop it. But once it gets the momentum, I'm going to get run over. And what is happening in our society is that right now, I believe, with this big thing is starting to move. And if we catch it early enough, we can stop it. We can hold it at bay until we get some more help to push it back up the hill, or somebody jump in and put the emergency brake on, or whatever description we need to describe where we are right now. But at a certain point, there's going to be no way to stop it. The momentum, a universal principle that happens everywhere on the globe, will take effect, and the momentum will take this thing wherever it's moving.
Yeah.
And we're in that place right now.
Very true. Very true. Democracy.
And so what do you think about the summit today? I can't wait to hear it.
I'm very, very interested. I'm concerned. I guess I'm concerned that Trump's going to try to give away Alaska.
Huh.
I'm concerned that it's the old saying, you know, whoever makes the first offer loses, right? In a business negotiation, there's a lot of that old crap I don't necessarily believe anymore, but a lot of the world still does. And I don't think that Trump can sit across the table intellectually with Putin. Trump is a loudmouth huckster. He's a loudmouth con artist who might just be doing Putin's bidding anyway. And Putin has always struck me as that sly, quiet type. He keeps his mouth shut. He keeps his stuff close to the vest. He doesn't tell people. Trump broadcasts his crap like days in advance, and then changes his mind, and then changes it back, and then changes it and he basically, I figured Trump out. He basically just waits for you as a reporter or some reporter to give him some crazy idea that he can latch onto, and he goes, we'll have to see about that. That's that might be an idea. That might be an idea. That might be an idea. No, it is an idea, but it might not be a good one. It might be a really bad idea, but he just kind of waits until somebody gives him an idea. And Putin's been playing the long game for far too long that I have high hopes. We're going to, you kind of said it. The fact that they're not inviting Zelensky to the table on this is mom and dad figuring out what they're going to do about the problem child. And that ain't right. And Ukraine is not a problem child. And the Ukraine is not something that needs to be solved, right? Putin's after land. Putin's after mineral rights. Putin's after a whole lot more than I think Trump even understands, or his people. Because his people, nobody in this administration seems to be interested in building up America. They seem to be interested in tearing down what we've become and trying to instill, plant a form of America that I don't think is healthy, and I don't think too many people actually really understand what it would mean.
No, but and what, in my opinion, what they're doing is, as we were just discussing, they're putting a machine in place, and they're giving it a push, and they're waiting for it to catch momentum, right? The first thing was Project 2025. They put that out there. It was slow for people to catch on to think it was real or whether the administration was going to use it. They put it out there because they had to get, it was like the dog whistle. And then people started, and all of that. And then it started getting momentum. And then, boom, he got in the office. Now the thing is moving, and the momentum has taken on a full run. Right. And now they're continuing that. And you I mean, just think about this whole idea of the Secretary of Labor data gatherer being replaced. And so now they're talking about suspending those numbers or those reports of how many people are employed and unemployed, and then all of the things that go into that, which means I can delay the actual numbers. They already had this thing where they readjusted the numbers for the previous month or previous 2 months every time they reported, because we got a lot of people in this country, and trying to count who's employed, who's not employed, who's looking, who's not looking is not an easy job.
Right.
But once they change the momentum and direction of that thing, it'll be hard to stop. So you won't know what is going on in terms of whether people are employed or not, whether prices are going up or not. It'll be just very hard to tell.
Yeah. Canada looking better and better every day.
Oh my God. And here's another thing. I was reading this article about what is the cause of happiness, right? Or what is the real cause of happiness researchers were looking at. And they said it's a misnomer, and I'll have to dig more into it because it's curious. It's not purpose. We talk about part of a big part or a bigger part of happiness is having a purpose. And what this research is finding out, that is a misnomer. The biggest source of happiness is relationships at any level you want to describe it, whether it's with yourself, your mate, your kids, your friends, other country. Pick one of them. The biggest source of happiness is relationships. And right now we are destroying relationships with other countries, within the parties, within individuals, within households, by the way we are allowing this current administration to destroy not a perfect system. We know it wasn't a perfect system, perfect constitution and all of that, but it was one that had great potential.
Right. Yes. Here we are again, right? Potential, the possibility, the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see us creating opportunity. I don't see us embracing that potential.
Right.
It's something wrong in Denmark.
Yeah.
Actually, today it's something's wrong in Alaska. Hello, Linda. Linda agrees. Everything smells a little foul about this meeting, right? Like you open up the fridge, you look at the leftovers, and I've always loved leftovers because when you save them and put them in the fridge, you think I'm doing a good thing, I'm saving myself money, and then when you throw them away, you think I'm doing a good thing, I'm saving my life. And we're sort of in that leftover stage right now. We're pulling stuff out of the fridge and looking at it and going, man, this is going to kill us. But instead of throwing it away, we're just putting it right back in there and saying,
no. And you know, there's we understand that potential, as you were saying, and as I put it out there as well, that it's a great thing. But we have to remember that potential is not reality. So we have to go the next step. We have this potentiality. We have this infinite possibility, but we have to actualize it. We have to actually move this stuff forward so that it becomes reality and not just this ethereal thing that's in the air. And what this current administration does very well, in my opinion, they put all these ethereal ideals out there to distract people, and they start going down and debating this, that, and the other. And over here, they have ideas that are that has a potentiality that they are actually working on to bring into fruition.
Yeah. I had to do it. I pulled up the Project 2025 tracker. 47%. We're at 47%, right? And I flash back to some of our colleagues, some of our metaphysical ministerial colleagues that fought tooth and nail that he wasn't going to do this. It's just, no, that's not going to happen. And but here we are, 47%, and so what is the tipping point here? I don't know. I'm afraid to find out because, like you said, we get to a certain point, momentum, and Canada's going to be closing its southern border. I don't even know if Canada has a northern border, but but they're going to be closing their southern border if we get a little too closer to that. And I don't know if you saw it. The Democrats did release a Project 2029 type thing.
Ooh, no, I didn't.
But I haven't seen any meat yet. I see a few talking points. I see a couple of things kind of on the shopping list. Easy ones too, like eliminate, or reform the electoral college and this easy things to put on a poster. But I haven't seen any real beef to the meat to the proposal. And part of it is, to me, it feels like the Democrats and perhaps many of us on the more liberal side, we were super, super late to the party. The far right was working on Project 2025 not as a reactionary document, not as an, oh shit, we lost, we got to do something about this. That was a well thought out, well planned attack on American democracy. And it started a long time ago now. It started a way back. And this is another thought that came to me is I never thought that electing a black man to the office of president would destroy the country. And I'm not trying to lay this on Barack's feet, right? If anybody listen, I don't think this is Barack's fault. But I think that there was such hatred for a black president, for a black leader, by the far right Christians, by the Christian nationalists, heck, by some everyday everyday Christians, is we elected a black man, and they all decided that was the end of the democratic experiment, and enough is enough. And F you all, we're going to go build a white utopian society. Barack, Barack jibing at Trump at that White House Correspondents' Dinner didn't help. I forget what year that was, but I still have that video in my files because it's like I like to look at that every so often. I don't think that helped any. But we elected a black guy. He seemed to be doing a great job. Has a solid family. He's not running around on his wife. He's not having his wives killed. He's not doing all this crazy shit. But we could, there's a portion of America that just couldn't handle it.
Right. And I'm going to pivot a bit because it just came up in my mind, this whole thing that's going on in DC right now with the police.
Yeah.
If Barack had tried to do that in any city in the country, there would have been bedlam, right? And there was a story that came out recently about doctors in rural communities. Now, overwhelmingly, rural communities supported the current administration and still supports the current administration.
Yes.
However, the records are indicating that they are going to suffer if this thing catch full force, because their hospitals and urgent cares are closing. There are not going to be enough emergency room doctors. Now, I don't know how many millions and billions of dollars are being spent on some of these other things in terms of policing, basically what it is, whether it's ICE or sending guards to California or having the police department taken over in DC. But some of the money that was set aside to create safe haven for people who are sick or need medical attention or to have doctors in these places is going away. Right. And so now, it's been determined that some of the most horrendous accidents that happens in rural areas because of the type of work that they do. Right. Heavy equipment. I mean, some real serious stuff going out there.
Yep.
Those are serious accidents and injuries. But now they're going to have to drive, 45 minutes to an hour maybe to get to a place to be treated.
Right. Yeah.
So again, we see them, as we said in the beginning, shifting, in my opinion, resources from a working class to a more privileged class. And once that gets set, it sets a whole nother thing in motion that you have to let it crash and burn before you can start it over, because there's no way to stop it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we should build a wall around DC just so we can keep him in. Like, okay, you can have a castle here, Well,
We're gonna put a moat. We're gonna build a moat. Put a moat around it.
but please, people, do not make Washington, D.C. a state right now. Or, well, I don't know. Maybe we do need to make it a state right now. I'm not clear. But this whole military in Washington, D.C.,
scary.
I don't know how anybody, I guess, and this is, I guess, part of it is the people that support him just aren't looking at history. They aren't looking at how these types of things have played out in the past. They're just buying the party line that, but I don't see how any self-respecting woman can vote for this administration with the way they treat women and what they profess. Pete Hegseth, I guess, posted a video that women should not be allowed to vote. Now, the White House has gone back and said, oh, no, he believes women should be allowed to vote. It was the rest of the video that he was trying to get people to pay attention to, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's all backpedaling bullshit, because the truth is your administration would much rather never have another national election at all if it's possible. And if we can alienate the women and get, but what self-respecting woman is going to think, you're right, I should give that up for the good of the country, for the good of Donald Trump, for the good of, I should give up my right to voice my opinion, and I should just sit here and silently and meekly let my husband make all the decisions.
That takes us back to the Middle Ages in terms of thought,
right?
And just like you said, go look at history and look at the treatment of people and the sway of power and the way things were. I wanted to say administered, but that's not the right word. The better word is the way things were dictated in terms of how life could be and would be, and most definitely from their point of view should be in what they're thinking. And we don't want any part of that. As they say, if you don't study history, you're bound to repeat it. And we're on a repetition course right now that if we can't stop the momentum, it will be dire in another 3 years and 4 months, basically another year and 3 years and a half still.
I'm wondering where we draw the new Mason-Dixon line. And I don't like these thoughts. By the way, folks, these thoughts scare the shit out of me. We get done with this conversation sometimes. I'm like, I got to go do some serious prayer work, because we're looking at the opening salvo of another civil war in America. And unfortunately, only one side's been stockpiling guns since the last Civil War.
And food and bunkers and backup systems. And, we see these things come out where people creating these generators and these, now they have these things where they're taking freight train or shipping containers and they're burying them in the ground and creating houses, right? And bunkers that are fully electrified with the generator, solar generator that you don't know, yada, 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 stockpile food. And there's more than just a little bit of people that's doing that, right? And they're making big money to do these things.
There's a whole industry developing around it. So, folks, before you think it's time to build your own bunker, before you think it's time to go hide in the woods, it's not. And there is more we can do than just pray. Now, don't get me wrong. Prayer comes first. I was reading a great piece yesterday that basically says, every one of us has the love of our life, but we need to put the love of our God first. And in some ways, the Christians have that part of it right, and have been doing that. I think they believe in a slightly misconstrued God, but that's another story for another show. We got to put prayer first. Put prayer first. And in New Thought, what we do in prayer is it's not begging and beseeching. It's not trying to say, oh, this is a horrible guy. Please make him stop. Please let this stop. It is an affirmation of the truth as we understand it, not the human truth, the spiritual truth. We are all created equal. We are all here to create and to bring forth a unique set of gifts and skills and talents that help with the evolution of human consciousness, not the de-evolution of human experience, but the evolution of human consciousness. So yes, we have to stay in our prayer work. Yes, we have to, but we have to stay active in the world. We have to be willing to make the phone calls. We have to be willing to say, no, that's not right when we see injustice. We have to be willing to, even if it might be scary, we have to be willing to get out in the streets and let our voices be heard. We have to write Substack articles and put posts out online, not attacking the other side, not vilifying the other side, but building up the vision of a world that works for all, building up a vision where civil war would not become necessary. Building up a vision of a country where we can talk about our differences, because at the end of the day, I fully believe that the folks voting for Trump want what we want: freedom, security, a good life, happiness. How are we going to build happiness if all of our relationships are at odds with each other? And I say, throw out the ones that are pushing the agenda of hate, throw out the ones that are pushing the agenda of separation. And I guess we need some new thoughters to step up into the political realm. If only we had been taught for the last 50 years to get involved in politics rather than try to ignore it. But I think the days of the New Thought movement ignoring the political landscape are over, and we've got to start getting some of our young folk prepared for office. And I don't want to, I don't hear anything about young independents or young Democrats or young progressives, but you hear a lot about young Republicans.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. And I'll step it a little further, that we need to get folk involved in everything. They need to get involved. I mean, the politics, the science, the data science, all of these things that make a whole society, so that we can really create a world that works for all, from the rocks to the people.
Yeah. Oh, from the desert to the rock. Yes. I agree. We agree. I think we both agree, Linda. Consistency in action grounded in our spiritual beliefs. Exactly. And that means how we show up at the supermarket. It means how we show up when we go out into the world. It means all of the ways that we can share this truth. We are one. Deeply we are one. Deeply we are one. Deeply we are one.
And so it is.
And so it is. And so we've run out of time here, folks. It's about time to let us get into the rest of the day. Please do stay with us on the New Thought Media Network. Of course, all of our normal morning programming is up today. And throughout the day, our premier programming, we've got the High Vibe Hour, which happens at 11 a.m. Just One You with Reverend Barbara Jenas at 1 o'clock. Divine Science Everywhere at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Check that show out. Wow, what some great conversations and interviews happening over there. Divine Science Everywhere at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. The good news is at 5, and Reverend Michael will be here with the Fireside Chat at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So again, we've got a great day in store for you here at New Thought Media Network. I'm Dr. Robert. On behalf of my co-host, Reverend Elzia, we want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.